Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global Nimble community. Today's a special day. I am so excited to have Brooke Sellas with us today. Brooke, say hello to the audience.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here. John, everybody at Nimble, thank you for having me.
You bet. The reason why we put this webinar together today is Brooke is an example of a real life human being who's using Nimble to not only build her brand and grow her network, but to build her agency and empower her team members to do the same. And she's been running B Squared for some time and has established herself the agency of the year, as well as one of the top brand builders and women entrepreneurs in New Jersey. And she's grown her agency over 100% this year alone. And I think that having somebody who's adopted Nimble, put it into practice, who has the digital background, who helps other companies do that, gives you, our attendees, a unique perspective of how to use Nimble to be better, smarter, faster in 2018. So, Brooke, without further ado, please take us away.
Definitely. Again, thanks so much for having me. And I just want to start with an interesting story about how I got started in social media because it's kind of a roundabout a way to get going. But in another lifetime, essentially back in the mid 2000s, I worked actually in nonprofit for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation in Dallas, Texas. And when I started to work for the foundation, they came to me and they said, Brooke, your main goal here is to figure out how to get young people involved with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And this is no easy feat. The picture you guys see on the slide here is a picture of me on my wedding night with my two sisters sitting in my lap. On my right or to your left is Taylor, my youngest sister, and on my left and to your right is Lauren, my middle sister. Lauren actually has cystic fibrosis, which is a terminal lung and digestive system disease. So I was very familiar what it meant to know someone with cystic fibrosis very intimately. However, only 33,000 Americans have CF. So when they came to me with this mission of figuring out how to get young people involved, I thought it was an impossible task. However, using two things I knew young professionals could not resist, Facebook and beer, I decided to come up with a pub crawl event in Dallas, and we had 7,500 young professionals sign up for this event in less than 6 months. And we ended up raising $60,000 for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, which normally first year events only usually make $5,000. So it was a huge win for me. And at the same time, it kind of helped me understand like, hey, there's something behind this whole Facebook thing. So fast forward to 2012, I started B Squared Media. We're now 6 years old. And as John told you, we're on track to grow by 100% this year. And Nimble is one of the ways that I totally attribute to helping us obtain that growth. So today I just kind of want to walk you through how I use Nimble for my sales process. So what I do may not work for you or for your company, but I do think that this is a great foundation for anybody to use to grow their business or to, create those sales hacks or, for you guys to even just start to put a plan to paper, which I think is very important. So my biggest advice to all of you on the call today is to document everything. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me succeed is documenting everything that I do. And what's so great about documenting the things that you do, you get into automatically building that plan. So you may not know where to start, but if you start by writing things down, I think you're well on your way to creating your strategy. So if there's anything you walk away with today, it would be to make sure that you document everything that you do with sales. And I promise you, a process will show up from the things that you start to document. So let's jump in. Nimble is an excellent tool for social selling, but really just selling in general. And I went through several different products before I settled on Nimble, and I could not be happier with the way Nimble works, especially for the way I execute on my sales process. Everything I do, so step number one, if you are going to be, documenting a sales process for yourself, starts with discovery, right? We have to discover who we want to talk to. How do we know who we want to talk to? How do we start building that lead list or that prospect list of people that we want to reach out to and talk to about our business? So one of the things that's great about Nimble is that you have all of these browser extensions that you can use, and I use them all the time, daily, every day, to help you start to build out that discovery list or that prospect list. I use Google Chrome, so that's the plugin that I end up connecting with Nimble, but they also have it available on Firefox, Safari, and through Microsoft Edge. You can also connect your emails, which I would highly recommend if you use Nimble, that's something that you do. We're an Office 365 team, and what that means is once I connect Office 365 inside of Nimble, which we'll go through more in depth here in the next few slides, I can actually start to get emails delivered inside of Nimble that come from people who I've placed into Nimble as a prospect or a contact or a vendor or a client. And I can also start to send messages through Nimble to those people. So I think it's a fantastic feature. It's really a must-have. And if you're a G Suite user, which I know a lot of people are, Nimble connects to G Suite as well. The other thing that I do with discovery is starring important people and using the keep in touch feature, which we'll also go over on the next couple of slides. But again, phase one is and some of you said this in the poll question is, how do I figure out who I want to get in touch with? Well, this is how I use Nimble to do that. So let's run through. So here, super simple. This is a back look at Nimble of how I connected my Office 365 suite. You can see through networks and imports, it's really easy to go through and just connect anything you want to connect. So I connected my Google Calendar, I've connected Twitter, Instagram, and you can see that I've connected Office 365. There's two ways to connect it. Again, we'll go over these more in depth in later slides, but essentially there's one way in which you can pull emails in or send emails out. And there's another cool feature inside of Nimble that allows you to actually, let's say you get a lead from your website and John reaches out and says, Brooke, hey, I heard that you do done for you social media management. How can you help me with my management? I have a little Nimble widget right inside of my Outlook that allows me to click on John and automatically through this Nimble widget, add him into the Nimble system. So I can put this lead or this prospect directly into Nimble with a touch of a button, which is amazing. So keeping in touch and starring people, this is another thing that I love to do inside of Nimble. So I've got some examples of my actual Nimble software here. And I've gone through and I've marked people as important by starring them, which you can do right inside of their contact information under contacts. And you can also, you'll see this little green timestamp on some of them. That's a timestamp letting me know that I have opted to keep in touch with someone. And you can set up benchmarks for yourself. So you may want to keep in touch weekly, it may be quarterly, it may be monthly. You can set that up. And anytime I'm past due, which you can see on Phil, I'm past due. That's the little green clock showing up that's highlighted there at the bottom. The system's going to let me know, hey, you said you wanted to follow up with Phil monthly and you haven't done that. So I kind of get this little nudge to go through and connect with Phil, which is awesome. So the foremost ways I use Nimble for sales or logistics, which is the next step, right? Discovery is number one, popping those people in. And then how do we do that? What are the logistics or steps for that? There's our homepage, our contacts, our deals, and keeping in touch, which I kind of just touched on keeping in touch with you. But I'm going to exit out of the slides now, and I'm just going to give you a real-time look at my Nimble app. So this, give it a couple of seconds in case there's a little bit of a lag, is my Nimble, my actual Nimble homepage. You're seeing it in real time. So you can see it gives me the date. I've got all of my tasks listed out here on the far right. I've got my stage, my sales funnel, pipeline stage funnel right in front of me so I can see what's in the pipeline. My total pipeline right now has 217,000. So for me, that feels comfortable. I know I'm on track. I know that I'm doing okay. If that were lower, I might need to kind of, kick myself in the hiney and get going on discovering more of those people to talk to. Or if I was doing even better than that, I may need to go through and set myself a larger goal. I also have all of my active deals are on the left, and at the bottom, here's that little stay in touch widget. This is really important. So these are all of the people who I've said I wanted to stay in touch with, and you can see I've got a timer on them saying, hey, you said you wanted to keep in touch with Mark monthly. So if that doesn't happen in the next 19 days, this little clock is going to turn red. Megan, I've got 2 months because I'm keeping in touch with her quarterly. So I've got 2 more months to reach out. So again, this is just really helpful for me because I'm a sales team of one to keep on top of the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm constantly keeping this pipeline filled.
Hey, Brooke, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So I really believe in what Mae West said, out of sight is out of mind, and out of mind is out of money, honey. So how do you stay top of mind to become your customer's trusted advisor so that when they need your products or services, they not only pick up the phone and call you, but they drag their friends with them? I don't think it's by sending somebody a quarterly email newsletter, or even if you want to stay in touch, send them an email and saying, did you look at my proposal? I think that you should be walking in your customer's digital footprint and adding value on a periodic basis. And so let's pretend you want to stay in touch with Mark Schaefer here.
Sure.
So, I think the best way to stay in touch with Mark would be to walk in his digital footprint and add value to the stories that he's telling, and both on a business and a personal level. So I know that Mark is a world-renowned author in marketing and social media, but he also is a dad who lives on a lake, and he's got a son who's involved in sports, and there's a softer side to him. And so what I would do with Mark is I might walk in his footprint and comment on his streams and Twitter and on his blog, or maybe LinkedIn, but I'd also dig into the softer side after I've established a relationship, to shift that relationship from, maybe it starts in the soft side Twitter, or shift to LinkedIn and a calendar appointment for a face-to-face, and then maintain the relationship by touching his stream and his blog, but also engaging with him on the areas of commonality. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So I don't just send emails. When I have these set up, I know that means I need to keep in touch in my way of doing it. So again, my way might not work for everybody, but my way is exactly what you mentioned. I'll make sure that I go read one of Mark's blogs and leave a comment, or share his blog on social and make sure that I tag him and leave a comment like, oh my gosh, this is amazing because it showed me what I was missing with sales, or whatever. It's not just enough to share out his blog post. I want to leave that compliment so that he feels that emotional connection and wants to respond to me and say, hey, thank you so much. I'm so glad this blog helped with that. Additionally, because Mark and I are friends on Facebook as well, which is a little bit more personal than, say, Twitter or LinkedIn, I do see some of the things that go on with him and his family. So I have marked in my calendar, and you can also do that within your notes and right here inside of Nimble, when his birthday is. I have when his wife's birthday is. So that way I can reach out with a text message and just give a little happy birthday shout out. So the stay in touch feature is, again, you can set it up and go as deep or as wide as you like. And I recommend going as deep and as wide as you possibly can without being creepy. But definitely, think about all of the different ways that you can stay top of mind with someone. And it's really easy to do that with social media, which is why I love social media so much. You see updates from this person, depending on how many platforms you're connected on, sometimes every single day. So you literally have a chance daily to stay on this person's radar, essentially. And I think that's a really smart way to think about social selling. Not that, I want to preach social selling too much today, but if you can get yourself into the habit of thinking about social selling and connecting with people on that kind of deep and wide level, it's an absolute must, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one last thing in regards to connecting with people, beyond the business lobby, which I sort of consider LinkedIn the business lobby, and you need to take relationships beyond that. In the old days, we used to take somebody to a ball game or to our house for dinner or to a pub even. And today we're doing it digitally. I think that Facebook and Instagram are two examples of the softer side where you can connect on the 5 F's of life: family, friend, food, fun, and fellowship. These are the things that help you to stay connected on a more personal level. And I think Instagram is a great next step because Facebook is for many people a sort of a more private place where they're not necessarily comfortable going. And I'll tell you what, before I connect with somebody on Facebook, I nimble them to see if we've connected in other places. And I think the softer places like Twitter and LinkedIn are the natural places, but Instagram is sort of a next step. So definitely take a look at building an Instagram persona and connecting with your friends, personal, but also your business friends. And I could tell you that I've been able to stay connected to very important business people, friends of mine, that don't have the time and bandwidth to connect on a business level on an ongoing basis. But staying connected on that personal level means that when I do reach out on a business level, the relationship is still warm.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it may be, like I said, it may be a little creepy to go out and try to connect with someone on Facebook because a lot of people do view that as like a private personal area. However, Instagram is kind of like that in-betweener. It's not as professional, let's say, as LinkedIn, but it definitely shows like the more softer side, I think, the more personal side of people's lives. So I think that's a really smart comment and suggestion, is to, connect with people where you can and where it feels comfortable. And then just think about ways using the stay in touch, because let's be honest, I couldn't remember to keep in touch with all of these people on the frequency that I choose. On a regular basis. So, this kind of helps me keep that myself in check and keep that plan working. And I can add as many people or as little people as I want. I can remove people, which I've done at times. Sometimes people come into our lives and it's very important for us to follow up for a while. And then maybe we become great friends and we don't need to do that anymore. So I just love the ability of being able to go in and setting accountability for myself, right? So we use the term trust and verify. I trust myself that I want to go out there and I want to do a good job with sales, but to verify that I'm actually following through on these plans and this process that I've created, I can use Nimble to kind of keep me in line. All right, so I'm going to head back over to the slides, jump back in here. All right, so I showed you guys my home page. If we look at contacts, again, you can add contacts in several different ways. So one of the ways you may want to import contacts if you're first starting out with Nimble is by importing a CSV. If you have a marketing list or a client list or a prospect list, you could upload that list easily into Nimble with a CSV and have people added to the system that way. You could also, which I've starred down here on Twitter, import contacts from Twitter. So if you're using that social touch that John and I just talked about, this is a great way to go through and add people who you're connected with on Twitter. Maybe you don't want to add your entire Twitter list. Another thing you could think about doing is importing your Twitter lists. So if you have Twitter lists of certain people that you want to stay in touch with, or people in your industry who are influencers, I think importing a Twitter list and popping them into Nimble and then setting up that stay in touch feature is a really great way to kind of get started with discovery and figuring out who you want to contact through Nimble. This is an example of the Nimble browser extension. I just ran out to our website and I hit the little next to the one there, Nimble Chrome browser extension. You can see what happens is that when you're sitting on someone's website, so again, part of discovery, say you really want to work with B Squared, you would run to your Nimble browser plugin, you would hit the little button, and then Nimble in this box number 2 pulls up the company, which is mine in this case, B Squared Media, and it shows you automatically, here's the website, here's where they're located: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. There's a couple of RSS feeds. They're located physically in Stanton, which is in New Jersey. It gives you a little blurb on the company, tells you how many employees they have, when they were founded, the company type, industry. So Nimble does all of the hard work for you. I mean, again, I'm a sales team of one. You guys may have a larger sales team, but I'm telling you, this saves so much time. The discovery process is cut in half or more now for me because Nimble does all of that hard work so that when I pop B Squared Media or the company that I'm researching into Nimble, all of that information lines up. I can start to see who's associated with that company and start to plan my plan of attack for reaching out to people who are involved with this company who I really want to work with. Now, you could add contacts and companies manually. That's okay, but this is the way I prefer to do it because it saves me time, and time saved is money earned. You'll also want to go through and set up your pipeline inside of Nimble, which you kind of on my home screen saw a very quick glance of my pipeline. So if you go into Nimble, you can set up your own pipeline the way it works for you. Now, again, this is how I set up my pipeline. I like simple. I'm a big believer in the KISS rule, keep it simple, silly, or stupid, or however. But mine only has 4 stages. I have prospecting. This is that discovery time when I'm starting to talk to someone, or I'm researching someone, or I'm looking at someone who I would really like to work with. And from prospecting, I move to a free consultation, which I offer to anyone. This is a really great way for me personally to get to know what someone's goals are, because I want to understand, what are you trying to achieve, and can we help you with whatever it is you're trying to achieve? So I don't mind spending 30 minutes on the phone with anyone to figure out if they're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for them. After a free consultation, if I've decided that this is a person who is really fits with our company culture and vibe, and really is available for the things that we can do and wants the things that we can do, what I would do is send them a proposal. The proposal outlines the scope of work, it outlines the pricing, and it really allows me to see how interested they are. Because, you know, unsolicited sales advice, I always ask about a budget, and a lot of times you'll get pushback on what people want to spend, and they'll say, oh, I don't know, or we're still working that out, or they might even like highball you and say, we have $1 million, we have $1 million to spend, and you're thinking, oh, great, but that may not be true. So for me, the third step in my stage is to send the proposal and find out who really now fits inside of our guidelines, because we can't change our pricing. It's set that way for a reason. So if they're really interested, they'll come back to me with the proposal and they'll say, you know, this works within my budget, or this doesn't work within my budget, but I really want to work with you. How can we move forward? And then there's obviously follow-up. So it'd be awesome if I sent a proposal out and everybody just signed it right away, but that doesn't happen. So my follow-up stage is the last stage, and we'll go over more specifics of how I handle follow-up. But essentially, once I follow up a certain number of times, if I haven't gotten a response back, or they, you know, go missing in action, then I do move them out of my pipeline. I like to keep a clean and tidy pipeline. I don't like to leave people in there for too long. I don't believe in following up for 6 months and spamming people's inbox with a ton of emails. So again, this is just my style, but once they don't get back to me after a certain amount of time, they get moved right out of my pipeline, and I concentrate on those people who are still engaging with me. So you can set up your pipeline however you like inside of Nimble, and you can set up more than one pipeline, which is amazing, because I can tell you, back in my nonprofit days, I would probably have 2 different pipelines. I would have one for onboarding volunteers, you know, discovering those volunteers, talking to them, seeing if they're interested. But I would also have a pipeline for sponsorships, right? So 2 totally different things. One is giving you time, the other is giving you money, but really I would approach them as a salesperson in a very similar way. So I love that Nimble allows you to set up more than one pipeline, and also allows you to set up your pipeline the way you want it, because everyone's pipeline is going to be a little different. Wouldn't you say, John?
Absolutely, Brooke. And I love that you bring up this point of multiple pipelines, which really relates to the fact that Nimble isn't just for prospects and customers, and it's not just for salespeople. company connects to a variety of constituents in order for it to grow. At Nimble, we connect to editors, analysts, bloggers, influencers, third-party developers, investors, advisors, and prospects and customers of various types. And it's more than salespeople that connect to them. Everybody in our company is connecting and touching that constituency throughout the life cycle of their process with our company. And so Nimble should be adopted across your entire organization. And because Nimble will bidirectionally synchronize with over 100 SaaS business apps, that means you can unify it into the system of record of relationships and then use it across multiple purposes. So you could use it for PR, biz dev, fundraising, and even recruiting, a variety of different pipelines that you would want to use to nurture. And so if you don't remember anything that I said today, remember that relationship platforms aren't just for prospects and customers, and they're not just for salespeople, and that there should be a process across all of the different engagements that your organization does.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for adding that.
You bet.
So the pipeline, this is a look, and we'll go into a live view because this is a little bit old now, but this is a live view that day of how I set up my pipeline. So again, you can see my 4 stages: prospecting, free consultation, proposal sent, and follow-up. 5 is when you move a deal into closed lost or closed won. So it's so simple. You can drag and drop. When I'm prospecting, I don't know what they're looking for or what their goals may be. So you'll see that a lot of those say TBD, paid media. I know they're looking for paid media, but I'm not sure exactly what. TBD, copywriting. I know they're looking for copywriting, but I don't know exactly what. TBD, SMM, social media marketing. I know they want social media marketing, but I'm not sure what. Once I have a free consultation set up, I will go ahead and remove them from prospecting and drag them over to the free consultation because I've completed that first conversion, right? My first call to action, my first conversion in my plan after discovery or prospecting is to get people on the phone for that free consultation. I want to talk to you. I want to understand what your needs are and to understand if we're the right partner to help you fulfill those needs or if maybe we should refer you to someone else. So once I move someone and get that date to a free consultation, I automatically pop them in here. So if the free consultation gets rescheduled or if they miss their call, they're still in this free consultation area to follow up with. But I want to take them out of prospecting because this is where I really am doing the bulk of my work, honestly. This is where I'm researching, reaching out, discovering, doing, leaving those little notes on Twitter or commenting on someone's blog. Then once I have my free consultation, like I said, if they're qualified for the next call to action, which is, may I send you a proposal with the scope of work that we just discussed and the pricing for the services that you would like us to handle for you, and they say yes, I move them to proposal sent. But I do not do this until after I've actually sent the proposal out, so that if I see someone sitting in free consultation, I know that I haven't actually sent them a proposal yet. Once I send them over to proposal sent, I obviously know what the pricing is. I know what the services are. So you can see that this changes from TBD social media marketing to social media marketing, Facebook plus LinkedIn, and this is an enterprise client. And the amount of this contract or proposal that I've sent out is for $46,000. My close date that I always put in is September 30th. Then once I've sent the proposal out, I give them a little time to marinate on it. And the 4th step in my plan, again, super simple 4-step plan, is to move them to follow-up. So once I move a contract over or a prospect, over to follow-up, I'm now saying I'm ready to start following up with them about the proposal that I sent over. So you can see follow-up obviously has the largest amount in it. There's 7 deals listed here. They all are filled out for the most part with what they're looking for, and I have prices on all of them. There's no way I wouldn't have a price in follow-up because I would have had to have sent a proposal to get here. So again, I understand how much money is at stake just by quick glancing at my pipeline, and I wouldn't move them over, or they wouldn't leave my pipeline until I either close them lost or close them won. You can look at the pipeline as a list I prefer to look at it as, I'm a visual person, so I prefer to look at it this way. So let me just show you really quick. This is the list view of a pipeline. So this is my list view of the pipeline. You can also export this list to a CSV, which is hugely important for me for forecasting. So I know how much money I'm supposed to make every year. I set a goal for every year. Then I set a stretch goal. And then I break it down into manageable chunks. So if I know I have to sell $5 every year, then that means I need to sell about $1.50 every quarter, right? So take your main goal, break it down into manageable chunks. Then when you export your pipeline to a CSV, you can start to put together some Excel documents on how you're doing. Where are you in relation to those goals? Can you slow down? Can you take that vacation? Or do you need to stick it out and really get talking to more people because you're behind? So again, in the list level, you can kind of see all of the deals that you have in your pipeline. You can see the total amount for each deal. You can see your total pipeline deals. And then also what I love is in this stage, you see this little red 117 days. This is one of those deals that doesn't normally happen for me. I normally don't have someone in my pipeline for 117 days. But what this helps me with, not just with forecasting, is to understand if I have my pipeline set up correctly. Am I allowing enough time in all of my stages, which I think I set it for 30 days, 60 days, or it's 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Do I need to extend that? Do I need to shorten that? One of the things that you can do with Nimble in these reports is understand how long your pipeline is. How long does it take you to normally close a lead from start to finish, from discovery to close? It takes me on average around 90 days to close a lead. Yours could be longer, it could be shorter, but Nimble will help you understand this information. And I think as a salesperson, you should understand this information because it really helps you understand if you're on target or if you're missing the target so that you can adjust. John, anything that you would add there as a tip for, using your reports? Because I know I use them in my way, but
there's actually a couple of things I wanted to point out. Number one of which is that I think that everybody has a different way that they want to look at their deals and analyze them. And towards that, we're embedding soon Power BI into Nimble so that we'll give you a variety of extra pre-canned reports, but then allow you to modify those and create net new ones for your organization, and not just textual reports, but actually digital and analog dashboards and graphs and things. And so that'll be really exciting when we get that done. We're also looking at integrating Microsoft Flow for workflow automation and Power App in order for you to create net new applications. And so Nimble becomes a repository of your contacts and your engagement and your pipeline, but then you could use it for visualization reporting, workflow automation, and integration into your other disparate data systems. So that's going to be really exciting. But in getting down into the details of a deal, what I find, and it all really depends on the types of sales that you're doing, but if you're doing any type of sales that involves a number, greater than 5,000 or even $1,000, typically there's multiple decision makers that are involved in that process. It might be a marketing person, it might be a business owner, there might be an advocate in the website team that might be part of it, and each one has a different role. And if it's a big enough organization, you have a financial decision maker, you have a end user decision maker, you have a product decision maker, and you might have an executive decision maker. And there's a book that inspired me to build Goldmine, which was called Strategic Selling, that I do recommend reading. It still is relevant to those of you that are selling at any significant dollar level. But towards that, in Nimble, you could put in multiple people to a deal, and those people could be not just people at the company, but external people. Somebody might have a marketing consultant or a technology consultant or whatever that's working with them on the project that you're selling. And so don't forget about the ability to link multiple people to a deal and to be able to engage multiple people in order to get a deal closed.
Yeah, great tip. Because like I said, I'm a salesperson of one, so I kind of operate in a silo over here. So I think that's fantastic. Tony, I see your question about the proposal sent is 60 or 50. Let me jump back. My particular pipeline, again, you may not set yours up this way, and that's okay. My proposal sent stage is only 30 days because when I send that proposal out, this is striking while the iron's hot. I give about a week for them to look it over if they don't give me a specific time frame. So at the end of my call, I always wrap up by saying, okay, here are the next steps. I'm going to send you a proposal. It's going to come from our system. You can open it. You can view the scope of work. You can view the pricing. Obviously, if you want to accept the proposal, you could do that. However, I'd love to chat with you again about what you think, if the scope of work fits, if we need to customize any of those things, or if we want to talk about pricing or adding other services. So I would like to follow up with you within 1 week. Now, if they tell me, oh, I'm going to be out, so don't follow up with me for 2 weeks, I can set up a task right here inside of my proposal, which I can jump out and show you here in a minute, to follow up with them at a different time. But otherwise, I follow up with one in 1 week. And then once I do that first initial follow-up, I move them into the follow-up stage. So I would say they don't even sit in the proposal sent stage for more than 30 days. But in rare circumstances where someone says, oh, I have to get with a whole team of people and meet with those decision makers, or I'm going to be out for the next 30 days, it could sit there that long. Other than that, though, it's a very short time because I'm trying to strike while the iron is hot. All right, so moving back to keeping in touch, right? One of the things I love about Nimble, which you can see up here in the top bar, you've got today, contacts, signals, social signals, which we went over. We've got messages and group messages. This is something that we're about to beta test with a new product of ours. So let's say I put all of my clients into Nimble and I tag them with a tag client or clients. I can then go through and put together a group message to send to those clients with this new service. So you've got this is the real email that we're going to send out, but we haven't done it yet. We're kind of working behind the scenes to launch this. And it says we're introducing chatbots for Facebook and Twitter as a service. So then I can go through and with Nimble, I can add a merge tag, which automatically adds in that client's first name that I have in their contact. So it would say, howdy, John, or howdy, Brooke. It would go through the service that we're about to release. And I have my action item here, right? My call to action. I want them to book a free consultation with me to discuss what kind of chatbot they're looking for. And then I can send this to that list of clients. Now, I've got this highlighted here and it's checked, but I would uncheck this so that I can track this message. And what happens is inside of Nimble, I can see who's opened that email, who's clicked on the inside of that email, and then I can do a couple of different things. I can wait a week and I can resend to the people who did not open the email. And for people that clicked around but didn't book that free consultation with me, I can reach out personally and I can say, hey, John, Brooke here. I sent out the email about our chatbot services a couple of weeks ago. I saw that you clicked, but you didn't end up booking a free consultation with me. Now, keep in mind, John's already a client, so we've already got a rapport built. And I could just say, what's up? Why did you end up not booking the free consultation with me? And it gives you a chance to get back in front of the client or the friend. Again, your scenario may be different, but to try to close that deal. Because for me personally, and I think this is why I'm a okay sales lady, is because I don't take that first no or even an indication of no as a final answer. I'm not taking no for an answer until you tell me, Brooke, absolutely not, we're done here. So I think that's good advice too. Figure out ways that you can use this group messaging to keep in front of people. And for the people who don't open or the people who click through but don't necessarily take action, figure out how you can get to that yes.
Brooke, I want to point out that many people reach out for services because there's a trigger that happens. And the trigger may be their sales is a little bit slowing down, or they're having an issue with experimenting with Facebook advertising, but they can't quite get it, or they're capturing leads and aren't able to follow up actively, but something triggers them. And they might reach out and connect with you, but then something happens in their business, right? Something that gets their attention and they're not responding. It doesn't mean they still don't have the pain. It just means that some other pain is bigger at the moment. And I think the ability to use group messages, this way that you're describing, to stay top of mind with people, to nurture them until they're ready to buy again, I think is an excellent example of outreaching. But one of the things I do want to add to outreaching at group level, this doesn't send 10,000 messages to your entire email list. The best thing to do is use Nimble to segment your contacts based off the type of message you're sending, and send one-to-one relevant off messages to subgroups rather than all of them. And an example of which is I was doing a TED Talk at Microsoft's Inspire conference, and what I did to drive people to my event is I imported a Twitter list of the previous year's 3,500 attendee influencers of the conference in the last year, and then enrich them with people and company data automatically in Nimble, which tended to segment people that were interested in social sales and marketing. And then I outreached to 200 with a one-to-one message. I got a 50% open rate, and I scheduled 25 meetings, one of which was Microsoft's deal to resell Nimble globally, worldwide through their partners. And that's the power of one communication. So whenever you do group messages, narrow the focus and sharp message to a narrowed audience.
Yeah, that's a great example. You guys did that for Social Media Marketing World, and I guess y'all had a list of speakers or some. I don't know what the magic is that you guys use, but you reached out to me.
It's really easy, and this could be you virtually attend conferences. So there are Twitter lists on every conference out there in the world, especially the previous years or maybe even the current years, and you could import a Twitter list of the speakers and info in the previous year. Nimble will enrich those contacts with people and company data, including their email info, and then you could use that to send targeted outreaches. And we had a little oh God, what was it? It was at Lagunitas? No, it was Ballast Point. And it was so intimate and great. We had 25 thought leaders, influencers sharing hors d'oeuvres with us, and scheduled a bunch of face-to-faces during the conference, and all of that was because of our guerrilla outreach. And this is the way anybody listening should be doing their own personal brand and network, or for their company. You could even virtually attend conferences by not being there and importing the list and engaging with people pre, at, and post conference.
Yeah. That's such a great example, which obviously I was privy to. So, all right, so let's go on. Oops. Whoops. There we go. So group messages. Now, keeping in touch history and pending. Again, I've opened up one of my contacts, Christopher Penn, another great marketer. You can see right inside of my status box when the last time I contacted him was. On this day, it was 2 hours ago. And I've got him tagged as a Social Media Marketing World 18 speaker. So that's kind of that little magic of the story that John just told. You can see I've also, under pending in history, I've got his Twitter pulling in, so I can connect with him right here on Twitter if I wanted to. But I also have his emails pulled in to here. So it's really easy to keep in touch with any of your contacts directly inside of Nimble. You can see when you've contacted them, you could star them as important, set up a timer to keep in touch. You can add all kinds of tags. You've got all of their social networks. So everything that you have to do as a salesperson with follow-up or discovery happens right inside of one platform, which is, as a marketer and a salesperson, I can't tell you how invaluable that is. Also, going back to my advice to document everything, every time I talk to someone on one of these deals, here's a long look at a deal where I have documented every single touch. So Gmail, or I'm sorry, the Nimble connection to Outlook has pulled in all of the mail that this person has sent me, but I have gone through and added notes. These little pencil icons are where I've added my own notes. I've logged activity, second follow-up email sent, and I put the date. Meeting booked, I put the date. All of my information is stored here so that when I do jump on the phone to talk to this lead the next time, I've got everything at a glance that we've ever talked about, that we've ever emailed about, or any sort of notes that I need to understand, so that I'm never at a loss for what to say. I'm never unclear on who does what or what we've talked about or what pricing we've given, because I've logged everything inside of Nimble. So again, if I could give you one big piece of advice, it would be to document everything that you do with your follow-up inside of the platform. All right, so really quickly, let's go over my easy breezy, peasy peasy sales process, which I've given you all of the steps, but now I'm going to kind of bring it together. So step 1, use Nimble Stay in Touch feature to keep in touch with partners, referral partners, or important contacts, even your wish list of people who you want to work through. Go in, put them in as a contact, mark them as important, which you can come down here in this little side menu and view all of your marked as important people, and set up a time in which you want to keep in touch with them, whether that's weekly, monthly, quarterly. Set that up and then follow through. And as John mentioned earlier, do it in interesting ways. Don't just shoot an email off. So give them a happy birthday text, give them a shout out on Twitter, go read their blog and share it to Facebook and tag them. Whatever that means, go as deep and wide as you can and think about social selling during the process. Step 1 continued, make sure that you have some sort of lead capture and call to action in several places. So if you were to go to our website, you would see that if you end up on my website organically because you read a blog post, you could hit our resources section and see that we have a free consultation write-up. If you don't have some sort of free consultation or freemium service, I would suggest creating something. At the very least, it could be a 10-minute consultation, and then allowing people to go through and book an appointment with you. I use Calendly. This is a snapshot of what Calendly looks like. Calendly allows me to show availability right on my calendar, so that if somebody goes through either organically or if we're running an ad, which we also use paid media to help us with leads, they would hit this sales page, hit book now, and once they did that, they would end up on my calendar, and they can book directly inside of my calendar and book a free consultation with me. I make it really easy for people to get in touch with me and book that free 30 minutes if they want to chat social media or advertising. So as leads come in, so as those people book appointments with me, or they hit a certain lead magnet that we have, however those leads come in, I go through, and the first thing I do as discovery is use Nimble's browser extension to add that company and that person to my contacts. They automatically get, I hit the button, as we showed you earlier, they're going to bring up that company or that person, and I can add them as a contact or a company directly into Nimble with all of their social information and other discovery information that I would need. So I don't have to spend time doing that. Nimble does it for me, and I can get to work understanding what this company does or who this person is. Step 3 in Nimble, once you add that person or company in, immediately add the lead status details. So you'll see the status details in each one of the company or people. You're going to want to say, what type of lead is this? Well, it's a lead, if it's a lead. You're going to add the status, and you're going to add the source. You can actually customize these things, but status would be, have you contacted them? What stage are they in your pipeline? And a source may be something like website, advertising, trade show, or conference. I've also added my referral partners in by name, so that if I get a referral from a referral partner who we then reward for bringing us business, I know that that's where that lead came from, and I can make sure if that lead closes that I give my referral partner some kind of referral gift. Step 4 would be to create deals for those leads who take action or the next step. For me, that was going from the free consultation to saying that they did want a proposal. So when they take that next step, create a deal and place it into your pipeline. So again, your pipeline may look different, but for me, I try to keep it super simple based on my experience the past 6 years. I've got the prospecting, I've got the free consultation, I've got the proposal sent, and then I have follow-up. Those are my 4 stages. They're very short and sweet, but the cool thing about Nimble is you get to customize your sales pipeline however it should look for you. Step 5 would be to get that person to take action. So book that demo, book that free consultation, or whatever your action step is, and then add additional notes into Nimble. So for example, when someone goes through and books in Calendly one of those free consultations, guess what happens? Ronald, who booked this app, got this little question survey. So he filled out these questions that I put together in Calendly when anybody books a free consultation. So already now Ronald is giving me free information about what he needs before I even jump on this free consultation with him. Our primary goal is to boost our online brand and to drive traffic to our website to generate new business. So I know immediately that advertising is something I'm going to want to talk to Ronald about because he's saying generate new business, right? Maybe organic social media would work, but if he wants to generate new business now or generate leads now, I already know that I'm going to lead off with advertising in our conversation. So you could consider doing something like this too, where you're getting information before you even do your free consultation and then put that information right into Nimble. So again, you've got all of your notes in one spot. Step 6, I send the qualified leads who I talk to on the free consultation a proposal, and I drag and drop that deal into proposal sent. So you can see this company. You can see under pending in history, it was a lead from LinkedIn. We sent some emails back and forth. I gave some additional details based on that little Calendly survey that I just showed you. I fill all that information in here as a note. And then I ended up creating a deal after our call for the amount and what it was for. Step 7 is follow-up. Super simple, right? I follow up personally. Again, this is my process, a total of 3 times, and I document every touch in Nimble and then either move them to closed won or closed lost. So again, you can see on the contact record for this particular deal, I've documented every single thing that we've done. I don't just count on the email being pulled in. I also leave my own notes if something happens where I reached out on Twitter or I had a call with the vendor to get something approved. Everything's documented here. And then once they close, I can drag this over to closed won, which is the happy face, or a closed lost, and that has a sad face. And what's great about that is Nimble asks you why you won or why you lost the deal. And you should definitely document this because, again, as you go through and you understand what happened for 2018 in your sales, why did you win certain deals? Why did you lose certain deals? You might see some trends, patterns showing up that can help you become a better salesperson for 2019. You can also revive lost deals. So sometimes we lose deals, right? They don't get back to us. I end up cleaning them up out of my pipeline. So you can kind of see here, I've gone back to all of my deals that are lost. And you can see right on the deal, I can reopen it. In this situation over on the left picture that you'll see, I reopened this deal because they went missing in action on me. I have all my follow-up that was sent. They went missing in action, didn't ever hear back, so I moved them out to lost. But then we set up a second lead call, and we started filling out more follow-up. So I went through the whole process with them again, even though I had moved them out of the pipeline once. So Nimble, you know, when something's lost, it's not actually lost. They allow you really simply to go back and reopen something so that you can start working with that person again, which I love. And then, of course, there is the reporting. So I can go into my Nimble reports and into my dashboard and look by quarter, month, week, and understand where I am, where my deals are, how many deals I have, how many have been won, and what my average per deal is. So again, when I'm forecasting and I'm trying to understand what my sales look like for this quarter, this month, this year, and if I'm on track to hit those goals for that I set for myself, this is where I go. This is kind of like my command central to understand how I'm doing and to help me understand what are the next steps. Do I need to step it up? Do I need to knock on more doors and make more calls? Or can I go on that week-long vacation that I've been desperate to go on? So that's kind of the gist of my process in Nimble. But if you have anything to add, John, now, this would be great.
Well, Brooke, the thing I'd like to say is that I love listening to you translate the teaching people how to fish with the fishing pole we created. I really believe that if you teach the fish, they'll figure out you sell fishing poles, and you have elegantly and easily described process for people to really be able to more effectively grow their business, and address a lot of the questions that people had in the beginning of the webinar. There is a couple of questions that I did see. One of them is, how do you get prospects to respond to you?
Oh, I think being human, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a person, and the person who I'm speaking with on the other side of that screen is also a person, even if it's a company, even if I was prospecting in that discovery phase and I knew I wanted to work with Nimble. You know, if I reach out to John or Jen or Megan or someone on the Nimble team, I'm still one person talking to another person. So I think just remembering to be human is probably the most important piece of advice that I would have. And then secondly, you know, try not to get straight to business. Ask questions and listen more than you talk. The more I think we try to understand the people behind the businesses that we're trying to connect with, the better job we'll do of figuring out if it is the right fit on their side and on your side.
Yeah, and you know, that idea brings up a few points. Even deals you've lost may turn into deals that you've won. Because if you do your job well by listening and learning and finding ways to add value, even though your product may not be a fit, that person would see you as a trusted professional and recommend you to others, even though you in that particular moment you weren't a good fit. So I absolutely believe that listening, learning, and having the intent to serve, where service is the new sales, will help you to win more deals, but also get referrals that you've lost. We've got time for one more question. What sales and marketing apps do you use to support your selling?
Nimble.
That was too easy. Okay, with that, let's go to the offers, because we're a few minutes past the hour. How can people get a hold of you, and what are some of the next steps they could take with you? Maybe somebody listening to this webinar might want to use you to help them build their process, plan, and sales and marketing strategies.
Sure. So I have a free swipe file of 5 of our foundational social media marketing processes. So they're not sales processes, but they are processes for social media marketing. So if you head out to our website at b-squared.media/swipe file, you can download a PDF of our 5 must-have foundational social media processes.
Fantastic. And I do recommend that you do that. Brooke, you are a wealth of information. And if you are not using Nimble already, we recommend that you do go sign up for a trial. It's free, it doesn't require a credit card for 2 weeks. And before the expires, if you sign up for a paid account, you could use the code JOHN, JON40, at the time of your signing up for the application to get 40% off the first 3 months. And if you're already using Nimble, write the care team. We'll give you 100 free product tool credits just to thank you for taking time to attend the webinar today. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us to inspire and educate our shared community about how they could be better, smarter, faster in 2018.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me. And if anybody has any additional questions, just reach out and I'll be happy to help out.
Great. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.